Hi, welcome to this short course in Understanding World Religions. I've taught this course several times in Kyiv, Ukraine, with a translation in Russian, and I've also taught some elements here in Poland, where I live, at the St. Paul School of Missions. Now, I'm not an expert in other religions yet, and I am approaching this from an evangelical Christian perspective. So you could say that I have an outsider or etic perspective for most other religions. Now, it's now very easy to find insider or emic perspectives for most religions, especially those that we might call major religions. And I would encourage you to find some of those on the internet. Sometimes when we describe other systems, we fall into the trap of building straw men or describing the other in a way that does not fit how an insider thinks about their system. So I will try to avoid doing that in these lectures and hopefully describe other religions in a way that's respectful and faithful to what they believe. However, we're also looking at these other religions from an evangelical as evangelical Christians with a goal toward improving our dialogue with those other religions. Now, I'm the son of a Baptist pastor, so I grew up in church. In fact, I was born when my dad was in seminary. So I've always been interested in faith ever since I was little. And more recently, that's also grown into an interest in other faiths. I've just finished a PhD in missiology at Cliff College and the University of Manchester in England, and I'm trying to use my studies and opportunities to help other Christians better understand how they can serve the world around them. So, first question for you: what do you think when you hear the word religion? What comes to your mind? That's the question that Winfried Corduan uses to begin his book, Neighboring Faiths. But it's a good question for us as well. And we're going to come back to that question actually several times, really. But first, I want to ask another question. Why should we even study other religions? What are some reasons that we can think of that make it worthwhile to focus on something other than what we believe and what we trust in? And so there's several reasons, of course. One of them actually is Corduan shares in his book. But let's begin with, first of all, with the goal to understand each other. We'll come back to that as well in a minute. We also have, of course, the goal that many of us have just for knowledge. That's probably one of the goals for me as I think about other religions. I just want to know more about what other religions think and believe. I think as well, especially we can see this throughout world history. There's a threat to world peace when we do not understand what other religions believe. So many religious wars have taken place, and even now there are battles that are taking place on the basis of religious differences. So helping to understand what other people believe also can help us bring about peace between ourselves. Then there's the quest for truth. Is there truth? Is truth discoverable? Does one particular religion have the truth? Do all religions have some kind of truth? These are questions as well that we're faced with when we begin to look at other religions. Then, as an evangelical Christian, a major component of that for me is evangelism, trying to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with the rest of the world. So that's the goal as well that Corduan has in his book, Neighboring Faiths. One of the reasons that we seek to understand other religions is for the goal of evangelism. John Hapgood says something about that the threat to world peace, really, but the way the world has changed that makes it imperative for us to understand other religions. He says, other faiths used to belong to other lands, and at home, rival religious claims could safely be ignored. Today, things are different. I live here in Poland, in a not that large of a city here, and at one time, everybody around us was Roman Catholic, with maybe a smaller group that would be Russian Orthodox. Now, however, we can meet people of several different religions right here in this city as the world has changed, and that's even more so in many other more cosmopolitan cities in Europe and in the United States. Veli-Matti Kärkkäinen, the Finnish ecclesiologist, says that the existence of and communication among world religions is the most significant challenge to and opportunity for the Christian church in the new millennium. And I think he's hit on something there that sometimes we see as a problem, as a barrier, and yet he sees it as an opportunity for the church. And Harvey Kahn, church planter, author on church planting, also says that affirming the finality of Christ, which is something that many Christians would agree with, does not relieve us of the responsibility to explain the relationship between Christianity and other religions. So, finish today with a couple of questions for you personally. Why are you interested in studying religions? Maybe it's just because you have to take a course. You have to take this course in Kyiv, and so you have to do this. Maybe, however, you're like me, interested in faith, interested in what other people believe and think. Or, like me also, you want to better understand how you can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with somebody. And the follow-up question to that is, what about religion do you find interesting? What part of that interests you? And we'll come back to some of the different dimensions of religion soon, but that's something for you to think about before the next lectures.